Okay, we are here at THQ Nordic and we are having a look at the Guild 3. We've been here last year and also were talking about the Guild 3, and so a year has passed since our last update on the game. And I'm here with
JR.
And you are?
I'm lead developer on the game, working at Golem Labs.
So very well. No, you are welcoming me. I'm somewhat confused because we have such a tight schedule. Anyway, now the game is loading, and while it does, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what changed since last year.
Well, yeah, since last year we have streamlined a lot of the development around making sure that the game progresses in a way that makes sense for the player. So the game is a very complex game. There's a lot of things going on, there's a lot of options, there's a lot of possibilities for the player, and we wanted to create a way for new players to understand where the game is going and how the game, what actions are going to affect your character and how they're going to affect them, and if something happens, what it means, how you should react to that. So we've been doing a lot of testing, a lot of changing of the interface, a lot of changing on the different gameplay elements to enable us to get to a point now where we feel pretty comfortable that we're there. We're going to be releasing the game next month in September. In early access, and we're going to be then updating the game and getting the community involved so that it gets to the point where we're going to be able to officially launch it in a few months.
Okay, then let's have a look around a bit on how the world is looking. What is the world looking like right now?
So one of the major changes that we've made is that before you were starting in the city and there was a lot of options to do. Now you're starting in a small village, so you just have a few buildings, you're near the market, but you're outside the city gates. You can see that the city is over there in the horizon, but we do not want to have the players start in the more complicated part of the game. So we're starting him outside, and it's not a tutorial, but it behaves in the same way. You have just a few options, you have just a few things that you can learn, and from that point forward, you're going to be building up your character, you're going to be building up your dynasty to the point where you become a business owner, and then you can go to the city, and then you can start opening businesses. So it's one of the ways that we are doing like layered difficulty levels, where you start small and we build on that, and then we achieved greater things.
So for those of you who have not seen our video or any other information about the Guild previously, the Guild is a game where you are playing a whole family of people, and usually you are playing one representative of that family at a time, but if you die, some other family member takes over and you control that one, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially like in Game of Thrones, if Ned Stark dies, it's not the end of the Stark line. If there's another Stark, then the family continues. So it's the same thing here. If you have children, if you have an heir, then you can continue playing. Some people have played for hundreds of years, so they go from father to son to daughter and so on and so forth, that they can continue playing with a different character, multiple generations of the same family, always expanding and creating greater wealth and power.
That's a feature I would like in the real world as well. So in which situation are you when you actually start the game?
Depending on the game mode, the basic game mode, you start as a commoner, so you're just one guy. You're starting your family from nothing. So you're poor, you have a small poor house, and you have one skill, a few things that you can do.
Can you show us those as a list with the skills that you have?
Yes. So the initial skills, there's 4 initial skills from the start of the game. You can be a farmer. You can be an herbalist, so someone who knows herbs and can go to a grove and gathers things. You can be an handicraft, so like an artisan that eventually is going to learn to be either a blacksmith or a carpenter. Or you can be someone like a rogue, which is like the shady thief fighter kind of character.
But I don't see any of those listed here, or do I?
These are the social titles on the left. On the right, you see the various skill paths. So, like I said, food, which is the farmer. This is handicraft, and it opens up. Each of them opens up into different sub-branches. So you can specialize, you can combine these various skills, and you can have different skills unlocked in different branches. And this is the more intellectual one, herbalism. You can become a shaman or a medicus. The thief, that can be a fighter, you can ambush people. And then the very last one is more like personal growth, where you can be faster, more charming, more eloquent, things like that. So these are the startup skills. And then on the left, what you see is your titles separated into the 3 regions of gameplay. So the first is the commoner, where you are essentially like a nobody, and the nobles don't care about you, you don't exist. This is when you start with nothing. And then when you have enough experience point, you get to go into the citizen part of gameplay, where you open up businesses, you can have employees, then the game morphs from an RPG into a more of a management kind of game. And then the last branch is the nobles. And this is when you go into politics. This is when you're going to be having intrigues with other families. This is when secret societies are going to start to come into play. So all of these different steps unlock new gameplay mechanism. Every time that you progress a level, every time that you progress a skill, you open up new actions, new items, new things that you can do, so the game becomes more and more complex. The original games were very complex.
So this is already quite a detailed overview of what we have, but can you show us what the typical gameplay looks like? I mean, I think you probably only spend a minority of the time in the skill tree, but do other times, most of the time, don't you?
Yeah, well, this first character started with the handicraft skill. So what you can do is that you can build basic items, in this case, daggers, fittings, or torches. So they're very like introduction level items that you can do. The more visual kind of gameplay that we can have is, if we started rogue, we can do some pickpocketing, we could throw bombs on people, like on houses, and we can sabotage their houses and things.
Show it.
We'd have to restart the game though.
Okay, well, do you have a save game that's far enough for using?
Not for Gamescom. We tried to lock the build as much as possible because people are playing it in the public hall, so we wanted to have a more constrained environment. But the way constructing items work is very simple, where I have my components right now. I have components in storage, so I can make items. I can start crafting items. I'm going to make a couple of daggers, and then be able to go sell these daggers to the market. And by doing that, I'm generating experience point, I'm generating money, and I'm doing the sort of food loop where you're taking components, transforming them into something else, and generating a profit. This is what you're going to be asking your employees to do later. So you have to do it yourself a couple of times before, so that you know what you're going to be asking for them later.
Okay, I think we do have a couple of minutes. We can make a short cut and restart the game to show some more imagery. Okay, so now we are back, and we have restarted the game with a rogue character, and we have just walked to the market to buy a bomb, so that we can show you a little bit of chaos.
And you can see as well that with my rogue skill, I'm starting to mark people according to their wealth. So I have a passive ability to see if someone is rich or not, just by the way that they're behaving themselves, the way that they're walking. So I can see that this is a poor area of the city, so everyone is just a one question mark. But you're going to be able to see, I know that a guard is coming over here. I know that I should not be bombing people while I'm in his vicinity. So you have passive skills like that as well. I'm just going to go somewhere else.
Well, it's great that you all know that.
And I'm going to...
Good that there's no terrorism database that lists you as a person who has just bought a bomb.
No. Use bomb here. So my little character is just gonna essentially
Do not leave any victims.
Well, what's gonna happen is that all of these little characters are gonna start to go to the... I'm just going away from the guard again.
What's the effect now? Are you going to gather some evil points?
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'm caught, which I'm... Maybe the guard didn't see me. Okay. So I'm just going to hide inside. So you can see that, people are going to start react to the house, stepping on fire. And the fire could spread around the city as well. So you could create the equivalent of a large fire where the entire city would burn down by accident, including your own buildings, because you're starting to sabotage people. So they're going to go outside, they're going to try to go get water and try to extinguish what happened. I'm just going to go join them and pretend that I'm surprised as well.
Currently, it looks more like they are cheering the fire than fetching water.
Well, some of them are, depending on who the people who live there were. They could have had like a very bad relationship with the neighborhood, and some.
Can you zoom in?
Yeah, of course. You can even like look through the eyes of your character. Oh, the house got destroyed, so they're all walking away. The house was already pretty badly damaged when I set it on fire. So this is one of the evil things that you can do. You can normally you should not do that very often, but because this is a GamesCom build, we're not the guards are not very aggressive in pursuing you. But I would have normally gotten caught and been thrown in jail for doing something like that, unless I control the politicians. So you have different political offices and different members of the nobility that control the offices, and if you can bribe them, if you can control them, if I have evidence against them of crimes that they've committed and that they've not been charged with, then I could trade their votes. I can try to convince them to vote for me, and they're going to keep me away from jail. But if I do that too often, the population knows that I'm crooked and I'm always being set free. The population can revolt against me, and they're going to go to my house with torches and pitchforks and ride me out of town forcefully, even if I was acquitted by the law. So there's always a new challenge waiting for you around the corner to prevent you from doing two awful things.
So a single playthrough of the game will probably spend days, weeks, or even months, right?
Oh yeah, some people have played for dozens and dozens of hours in single games. We received save games that were past the year 2000. So these are people who played for 600 game years in a single game, single family.
But the technology will stay the same.
Yeah, it's always the Middle Ages though. So there's no cars or planes happening.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your time. We are very excited, of course, about this game because it is complicated, has management aspects, and it's not that bad if you die because hopefully you have a backup. Thank you very much.
If you did not manage to have a wife, you can always go to church and buy an orphan. Get an orphan in exchange for a donation, and then you have an heir that can continue playing your game. You might not be very healthy, but at least you're going to be able to continue playing.
Great. Thank you very much. May we publish the interview and the captured gameplay material publicly?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much.